Back here at home, growing concern among citizens and our government over the rise of poverty-stricken citizens.
We have Lieutenant Governor Spencer Cox joining us this afternoon to address this situation. And first, I want to start off with, how do we address this situation? Because it affects people here right in our own backyard.
Well, it's not an easy answer. We know that if it was easy, we would have solved it a long time ago. It's a very complex issue, and we're learning more about it all the time. The data that we're getting back now is really interesting. We've spent over $20 trillion as a country fighting the war on poverty, and yet the poverty rate hasn't really changed. So we're looking for new ways. We're learning more about intergenerational poverty versus situational poverty, and that not all poverty is created the same. So we're really excited. We have author Vance who's coming into town tomorrow night to talk about these things. Many of your watchers, your viewers will have read the book Hillbilly Elegy. It's a great book, fascinating book about poverty in the Midwest, and really explains a little bit the rise of President Trump, and we're going to learn from him about some policy recommendations.
From your office up on Capitol here, where does Utah sit right now with regard to poverty, specifically the issue of homelessness? We had seen, a couple of years ago, that there were some who deemed homelessness to be at a minimal or zero level here, especially in Salt Lake City. And then now we've seen a very contentious debate about new homeless resource centers in Salt Lake. Where do we really sit right now?
Right. So it's interesting. At the end of his book, he actually brings out Utah as an example that is getting it right. We're doing better than most of the other states, but we still have a long ways to go. And homelessness is one of those. We've done very, very well with chronic homelessness. This is people that are homeless for more than 4 times over the last few years, and they have some sort of other issue, whether it be a drug addiction or mental health issues. But right now what we're seeing is a rise in homelessness. Some are coming from other states because they've heard that we're better on this. But what we found is that there are ways that we can do it differently. And by dividing up those populations, that's why we're looking at more than just one big warehouse. Instead, dividing it up into different communities. We think that that's one way we can help. And we have to do a better job of getting rid of the criminal element. That's what's causing the problems downtown. And that's going to require a state, federal, and local solution together.
As you bring up those topics there, what is happening up at the legislature? I mean, specifically, are there bills before the legislature right now that is going to deal with certain individual aspects of this?
Yeah, there are. There are a couple bills that we're watching right now. One of them has to do with affordable housing. You can't talk about homelessness without also talking about affordable housing and making sure that people can actually afford to live here so we don't exacerbate the problem. So we're watching that very closely. And the other one has to do with funding for these different resource centers and what that's going to look like, what are the requirements going to be. It's not enough to just find more housing. We have to make sure that we're focusing on, first of all, not having people become homeless in the first place. Yeah, but then making sure they don't stay in homelessness. So the resources can't just be for brick and mortar buildings. They have to be resources that help people get back on their feet, get jobs, and get out of poverty and homelessness.
Certainly a big topic and easier said than done in many of these instances. Encourage you to check out the Lieutenant Governor and author Vance will be speaking tomorrow at Weber State University's Shepherd Union Building. That event free and open to the public. It begins at 6 o'clock tomorrow night. We certainly appreciate Lieutenant Governor Spencer Cox joining us here at the noon hour.
Thanks,
Very busy right now with the legislature ongoing. We appreciate a little bit of your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.